Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to this conversation on the future of the wireless connectivity in the enterprise. And this is part of a report by Senza FIli in collaboration with RCR Wireless. And we're looking at how the relationship between the enterprise and service provider changes as wireless connectivity becomes an even more important asset for the enterprise. And today, I'm talking to Jan Geldmacher. He's president at Sprint Business. Jan, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. Good afternoon.
Okay, excellent. So to get started, can you tell us what you do at Sprint?
Yes, Monica, I'm the president for Sprint Business. That is basically everything in Sprint that is B2B related. So I oversee our SMB, small and medium business customers. I oversee the enterprise, the federal segment, the public sector, but also the wholesale sector. And within the B2B space, we have a variety of products and services that we bring to market, which is, for example, a wireline proposal, a wireline proposition and portfolio, obviously a wireless portfolio, and an IoT portfolio, which is a very exciting journey to see, all these things coming together in our converged world that we are in.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting because there is a lot of changes going on, and so let's start looking at it from the internal part. You're working with Softbank on many of this relationship with enterprise users, and so can you tell us what is the relationship there?
Yes, Sprint is part of the Softbank group. Softbank is our largest shareholder with close to 85% shareholding. And as being part of the Softbank group, it allows us obviously to access, capabilities, know-how, intellectual property of our shareholders, and also participate very much in the engagement that Softbank has in the Vision Fund, which is a very large $100 billion investment fund that our chairman, Masayoshi-san, invests into IoT businesses around the world. So a very exciting journey, and being part of that group allows us to think out of the box and beyond the normal portfolio that a carrier like Sprint would bring to the market.
And I guess it is a lot to learn because the relationship with the enterprise and IoT works differently in different markets, and we can all learn from each other. And I wonder whether you can tell us how is that working?
Well, look, I think IoT is a very exciting topic because IoT subsumizes a variety of different things that companies, in small companies, mid-sized companies, or large companies are looking at right now. If you categorize it in a very simple way, you could say IoT is helping companies to digitize their processes and to get closer to their customers. But it's also helping them to save costs or to tap into new revenue opportunities. And having said that, I think it becomes obvious that IoT touches on all areas of our customers. So be it the production, be it supply chain, be it the distribution, be it the whole IT environment that helps them to digitize, be it automation, be it robotics, be it artificial intelligence that they use to improve their marketing activities. So there's so much that our portfolio touches when we think about IoT with regard to business customers. And Softbank brings to that occasion so many different companies that the group has invested into. Just think about Softbank's investment into ARM. ARM is a chip designer that has a great intellectual property in providing the industry with chip design that gets smaller and smaller at the same time, more secure, and that goes not only into smartphones, but into all devices that can be connected. And if you assume that our world is full of sensors, and just take a car as an example, a car has about 500 sensors already, and all these sensors will be connected. So beyond the pure chip design, and the modules that go into the cars, connectivity becomes a very important component. And then if you have solved the connectivity issue, then all of a sudden you go into you know, collecting the data, using big data, applying artificial intelligence, and helping our customers, as I said earlier, to get closer to their customers. And all of these ingredients that you need to accompany our customers on that journey are within Softbank Group. And that is a very exciting time for us here.
Absolutely, and it's basically a way to create the ecosystem from scratch, because it's a whole new area.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So this is great in terms of, you know, expanding the range of services. But at some point, isn't the sort of IoT becomes so pervasive that IoT and connectivity becomes one and only? We still distinguish between the two, but eventually, since all the enterprises will have both IoT and connectivity, does it make any more? Is it still relevant, that distinction, or is it just part of the whole package of services that you provide to the enterprise?
It is definitely. You're right. I mean, it's probably not appropriate to differentiate anymore, right? It's you know, it's the ecosystem that comes together, and connectivity plays a very important part in that, because everything that can be connected in the world will be connected, and that's an assumption that, you know, the whole industry takes. So if you think about sensors, so we believe that there will be 1 trillion of sensors in a couple of years, and all these sensors would somehow be connected. So connectivity becomes an integral part of the sensoric in this world. Now, are we ready to do that today? I think not. Of course, we are on a journey to go through a development to make that happen. And when companies think about connectivity these days, they think about wireline connectivity through IP networks. They think different maybe when they connect their people. They think about wireless networks. And again, they think different when they talk about IoT and machine-to-machine communication. But, you know, ultimately, all of that will come together. It will converge. It will be, you know, everything that can be connected will be connected. And at the end of the day, you know, you will not know even if you're connected to a machine, to a human, if the machine is connected to another machine. So everything will be connected with anything. And then the network that connects gets a complete different purpose, because it must be available 24/7 at 100% availability, because we relay processes on these networks that are sometimes life critical or business critical at least. So, you know, that journey has just started.
Yeah, and it's very exciting, and it actually puts a lot of sort of pressure to perform on the network, but also a big opportunity for diversification and extracting more value out of the network, because you need to, at the time where you have to not just provide connectivity, but connectivity for different applications. Each application has its own requirements. So you need to balance them all out. And that's a huge role. I mean, your role, I think, is going to become even more important and central in ensuring that all these applications not only exist, but coexist.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, networks need to not only provide connectivity, they need to provide the connectivity in a reliable way. We need to provide the right speed. We need to provide the right capacity. We have to probably integrate different protocols. We have to integrate different ways of different protocols of network in different spectrum areas. Some of them might be maybe unlicensed spectrum areas. Some of them might be licensed spectrum areas. So it will be a complete conversion. And I think that is something that has just started. So when we look into IoT, we don't think that's only 5G or 4G related. It will be, of course, Bluetooth. It will be, of course, be Wi-Fi. It will be, of course, be IP fixed line networks like SD-WAN or IP MPLS networks. And it will be mobility in the sense of the meaning that we talk about it today, connecting people and applications to the network through wearables, for example. So the entire ecosystem is something we have to take into account. And the networks, they will be providing the connectivity in a different way than today. Latency will, for example, play an important role that will be increasing very much over the next couple of years when we make the move into autonomous driving, into autonomous steering of enterprise processes in the way of working, robots and men hand in hand. So this requires latencies, of 2 or 1 milliseconds, latencies that we don't see in our today's network infrastructure.
Absolutely. So latency clearly is one of the big changes in requirements, lower and lower latencies, and that's one. What are the changes in the requirements do you see? You mentioned reliability. Any others?
Yeah, well, networks need to be available, right? So ubiquitous coverage is of utmost importance. When you have autonomous environments where things need to be connected everywhere, you can't afford, the places where connectivity is not available. Therefore, it's so important that when we think about the IoT world, that we include new services like the OneWeb satellite service that Softbank and the Vision Fund has invested into, where we will launch, low orbit satellites that will provide ubiquitous coverage in areas where we don't even think today about having coverage. And that is not only true for Sprint as a carrier, I think it's true for all carriers around the world. So we don't have in the mobile space ubiquitous coverage everywhere in the world yet. But when we move into the autonomous environment, that is required. Same is true when we move into into applications like remote diagnostics, remote medicine, where not only latency but also availability of the network is of utmost importance. Just think about a remote surgery that works on a 99.75% available network. That will not be possible. We need 100% availability. And that is new requirements to network providers that we will deal with in the next couple of years to provide.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a key issue. What about security?
Well, again, if you think about the sensoric and the boom of sensors that we experience, and I said earlier, 500 sensors in a car. If these sensors are not protected, or if access to these sensors is kind of approachable by third parties that are not entitled to do that, that is posing a huge risk. So embedding security in the chip design is of utmost importance. Embedding security into our network, doing a very, very professional and reliable threat management of our networks is on our agenda. And I think that's today, in the eyes of many IT decision makers, a hurdle that we have yet to overcome. But I think we are very well prepared to tackle that issue.
Mm-hmm. Now, at the same time, there is not only a change in the requirements, but it's also a change in the relationship you have with your customers. How do you see it changing?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very important point. I mean, telecommunication services have been seen as commodity for many years. And probably rightly so. We provide a commodity that is scalable, and the faster we grow, the better our price base is, and we let our customers benefit from that. So that's the principle you're selling telecommunication services today. In the future, when we talk about getting our customers connected to their customers, we are changing the way we communicate with our customers. We move up the value chain. We move more into into the areas of the business of our customers. We talk to product management. We talk to sales. We talk to marketing. We very often talk to the R&D folks within our customers and go into the business process. Whereas in the past, or maybe even today, still in many times, we are on the purchasing level only and talking to the supply chain organization, which is not a bad thing and will continue to be. But we need to prepare to be the trusted advisors of our customers on all levels of their value chain.
How do you see your role especially when you move to IoT in terms of the services you provide? How deep do you go, in the sense that, okay, obviously you provide the connectivity, but do you also provide the services, the applications, or do you work with third parties, or is it a mix of that?
Yes, I think you mentioned it earlier. IoT is an ecosystem of partners that work together. I think no company out there is prepared to do it all themselves, end to end in the value chain. It's bringing together the ecosystem of partners that make things happen. And I believe this is also a differentiator. Sprint is prepared very much to bring to the table the ecosystems of partners that we have already, and we are very open to partner with new parties that are built as we speak. There's a lot going on in the market right now in terms of startups. When you think about the artificial intelligence discipline, or when you think about big data and data analytics, well, we have a couple of capabilities and skills on board in Sprint, but we are not nervous in saying that we can't have it all, and we can't oversee all the different disciplines that are out there. So we are dependent on partnerships, and we are encouraging our customers also to partner with others. But at the end of the day, it's a decision of our customers to do it top down themselves, and to integrate, or to have a system integrator that runs the process top down, or to ask a provider like Sprint to bring all these different parties to the table and integrate them. And we are prepared to go both ways.
Right. So, and I guess depending on the enterprise, because different enterprises seem to have a different level of, well, they might want to be more or less directly involved. And so there is a need for flexibility on your end.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also dependent on the size of the customer very often, because, when you talk to mid-size or smaller customers, they don't have the expertise, they don't have the technical know-how, they sometimes don't have the project or program management resources to run these more complex environments. And we are here to help them and to package and bundle solutions as deep as we even can, and have the bespoke part as little as we even can, because that allows us to implement much faster and take away the innovation risk from our customers. But then there are large customers and large multinational organizations that have very well established departments that know very well how to deconstruct a project into its single parts and system integrated themselves. So we have to deal with all the variety that is out there in the business space. But again, that's very exciting.
No, absolutely, and sort of that brings another question. I mean, it is a very important point. When you go to the smaller companies, it's different because they don't have the know-how. So, and traditionally, that has been sort of a difficult one to deal for any operator worldwide. And in fact, for the enterprise, it's must be frustrating. For a smaller enterprise, it's frustrating too to not have access to the same services that a bigger company has. So is there anything different that you do to try to work more closely with the small and medium enterprises?
Yes, we do that. And we think there's two components that we at least have to bring to the table. One is we need to allow small enterprises to offload the innovation risk to their partner. So how can you make a decision on implementing a technology that has an innovation cycle that is less than 2 years? So we need to capture that, and we do that by providing our customers with bundled solutions that we sell in a flexible way. So a pure OpEx model where our customers pay per use or pay per seat or pay per machine. So IoT as a service is the solution to that issue that our customers are facing. And the second one is that we need to come up with a variety of partners in the ecosystem that are prepared to deal with small enterprises. Not every company that is out there with a 3-letter acronym is really prepared to deal with a 50-person enterprise. We need to have that ecosystem of partners that understand the language of smaller enterprises, that understand the necessity of being, really, really speedy in implementing things, because otherwise we would disrupt or interrupt their business flow. So I think these are the main criteria in the small enterprise space.
Now, when you get to many enterprises, especially if you move out of venues like stadiums where everybody wants to have a huge presence, as you move to other enterprises, there is a question if not only they can contribute at the OpEx level, so basically be a pay for service, but the enterprise might also start paying for the infrastructure that they need and they see as fundamental to their business. It's mission critical for them. So you can argue that it makes sense that for them to pay for the CapEx. What's your view on that? Is that an important part, or you're happy to go in and pay for the infrastructure?
Well, I think, of course, at the end of the day, the customer pays for the infrastructure. The question is, how does the customer pay to the end?
Yeah.
Infrastructure. Is it a capex-based model where the customer has to do the investment and has to put the investment onto their balance sheet and write it off over 5 or 7 years, and therefore need to make a decision that is very, very savvy and very well educated, because in our world, as you know, and as all of us know in the industry, the innovation cycle is much shorter than the tax depreciation times that we allow. So therefore, I think the move to an OpEx model where our customers pay for the infrastructure and for the devices and even for the people that we deploy to integrate into their systems in an OpEx way, in a price per seat way, and therefore being flexible to change technology after 2 years when the innovation is kicking in, is the name of the game. And this is what many smaller customers look at. Even larger ones do that. So depending on the financial KPIs that are important, some customers even large customers try to avoid the capex investment and move to OpEx models. And if you think about the whole cloud model that we are deploying since a couple of years, this is driven by the same economics.
Yeah. And actually, how is the sort of virtualization and cloud going to affect the way you provide services? You should add much more flexibility, and it's a tool to support smaller companies, right?
Yeah, cloud is obviously nothing new anymore. Since a couple of years, not new anymore, and it's probably the tool of choice also for IoT applications. And at the end of the day, what we do is connecting machines, connecting people, and connecting locations to the cloud. That's what the 3 network dimensions that we offer are doing. So wireless networks, IoT-based networks, or wireless networks or wireline networks connect at the end of the day to applications that are in the cloud and make these applications available to every user, being it a machine or being it a person or being it a production site at any place in the world at any time. That's what networks do, and that's what we will continue to do and probably become better and better at doing.
Yeah. Now, in closing, let me ask you a final question. How do you see the services that you provide over the next 5 years? How are the services to the enterprise going to change?
Yeah, as probably indicated earlier already, we are moving from a pure commodity play into a managed services play, into a business transformation play through technology, through telecommunication products. So connecting people, devices, and locations is the base. It's the base of the pyramid that we are deploying in terms of services. The next layer that comes above that is, after connecting people, sites, and machines, it's managing that for our customers. And more customers go away from self-managed environments and give that management capacity and capability out in an outsourcing or tasking contract to carriers like us. And then the journey continues into business process reengineering using telecommunication services. Just think about putting connectivity into a car is not a commodity play. Putting connectivity into a car is a telco becoming a part of the car. And therefore, it's a product that the customer of the car manufacturer, the OEM, is consuming like they consume the car. So that's a change in the way we develop our products. It's a change in the way we deploy our services, and it's a change in the way we sell and bring our services to the market. And that will continue. It's a journey.
Absolutely. And it's a journey towards having more wireless, more ubiquitous coverage and capacity, but also you're trying to move out from the commodity and provide more specific value for the different services, right?
Yes, absolutely. However, the commodity play will remain a very important play for us because at the end of the day, telecommunication lives from scale, right? So, and scale is achieved by providing a great quality in a way that customers would like and love to consume it. And only then we can increase the distribution of our services through a reduction of the cost that it takes to produce the unit. And the scale play will be accompanied by managed services and moving up the value chain, but still it will remain a commodity play in the connectivity, in the pure connectivity that is basing everything or grounding everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Jan, thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts with us today.
Thanks, Monica. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
And this was a conversation for a report on the evolution of the relationship between the enterprise and service providers and the overall change in the importance of wireless connectivity within the enterprise. Thank you all for listening.